What's going on, everybody? It's Moose and Brian here from OccupyFantasy.com, at OccupyFantasy on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and now TikTok. Again, I'm going to be the host, co-founder, data model guru here at Occupy, at CFB_Moose is where you can find me on Twitter. Here with Brian Jester, CEO of Occupy, another co-founder, and 50K richer after last night's preseason slate, at Brian Jester FF on Twitter is where you can find him. What's up, Brian? How's it going?
Feeling pretty good, Moose. The hard work paid off, and I have been rewarded, and I have been celebrating with another 12-hour workday today. So it's been great.
Absolutely. I love it. I love it so much that this is actually not mine, but I got like I thought that was like the live, laugh, love thing. But no, it's like, that's what it looks like.
Very reminiscent of that, yeah.
It says loves builds a happy home. So maybe you could change it to Bink and GPPs makes a happy home. But but we're not here to reminisce on last night. We're here to talk about roll that over into tonight's slate, which is a little bit different depending on which sites you're playing at. FanDuel does have the Baltimore-Washington game that's supposed to kick off at 6. But Brian, I know there's some reports that lightning's going on. They might delay the game. There's no way that's canceling.
No, actually, that was the what game was that? Nashville. Nissan Stadium. Is that Chicago? I think it's the Bears game. So
okay, never mind. Fade me.
Either way, I mean, it is what it is. I don't. It certainly doesn't look like a Jets Eagles pregame disaster like yesterday was. But yeah. So we're here at 5:45. We wanted to get started a little bit earlier than normal for preseason because we do have the game at 6 o'clock that kicks off our FanDuel. So if you guys have questions for the Baltimore-Washington game that's in 12 minutes, go ahead and ask those first. We'll talk about everything and answer any questions now. But since that game kicks off first and we're going to go through lock, that'll take priority today.
Absolutely, yeah. And what you see on the left side of the screen here is the Occupy Fantasy Daily Plug, the DFS picks, ranking, and playing time notes for all the games tonight. OccupyFantasy.com is where you can find that information. Membership below is $7 per week. It is absolutely fantastic resource. It's literally, Brian, the only resource that you used to win your 50K last night.
I mean, literally, my entire player pool was from the plug. All the strategies I used were in the plug. And people may ask, you're a pro. Why would you give out your player pool? Why would you? Because one, people don't follow directions, right? I don't know how else we could do it. Like literally lay out everything for you in the plug. And obviously not everybody's going to win because there are going to be certain players you don't pick and whatnot. But we do all the work for you. And I did all this work. I'm not going to, not all by myself, but all of us did all this work. I'm not going to stray from what we did. So
yeah, and also I think the other way to look at it too is, even though you are a pro, you're playing completely different contests than what a lot of other players are playing as well. We tell you to grind these satellites and these 100-player leagues, 118-player leagues, and if you use those strategies, you absolutely crush as well. And as we saw from last night, what was it? Occupy in the second half showdown slate got 1st through 8th or something like that, which is absolutely nuts.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Again, you're not gonna see screenshots for every contest, but
yeah.
And again, most people aren't going to be willing to send screenshots for winning a triple up or winning a small satellite. But all of our members have been dominating using the notes. And to be fair, most, not to put down any other sites, but no one puts in the work like we do for preseason, which is why our article is so good every week and every day.
Yeah, I mean, how many people? I know this was last week, but it gives me a chance to tout it. But I mean, who is actually going to these games 2 hours early and scouting out all the different players, what they're doing, who's actually playing, trying to sneak in and talk to the beat writers there if they don't answer you on Twitter. So we definitely we work our ass off for this, and it shows. All of our members are absolutely crushing. Ed said there's no sound, but I have everything that looks good on my end here, so you may have to mute yourself there, Ed. I don't know if it's on mute, but it says everything's good on my end.
Let me see. It sounded good to me, so.
Yeah. Let's see here. Yeah, and just the other thing. Oh, yeah, his headphones weren't working.
Damn it, Ed. This
Come
is
on,
why
Ed.
you can't get a loan. You can't even figure out your headphones. How am I gonna give you? You asked for a loan at the top of the show, Ed. I mean, maybe I'll pay you some money for some new headphones, but I can't give you a loan if you can't even figure out your headset, man. Come on.
Definitely. And then before we jump into the slate here, you just want to point out at the very bottom of your screen, you'll see the current odds for tonight's games, courtesy of Bet Rivers. If you are in a legal sports betting state, check out OccupyFantasy.com. We have some great deposit bonuses with Bet Rivers and some other sports books in the legal sports betting states that you can absolutely use. Because Brian, I don't know. A lot of people say it's degenerate. If you look on Twitter, people call you degenerate and look down on you. But I feel like preseason, hint hint, Ravens money line, are absolutely golden. Especially like even if you're playing DFS and you do all this research, you're like, okay, now I know exactly, basically what the game script's going to be for both sides, and I can use that to my advantage betting.
Totally. Absolutely. No, 100% true, right? You read the plug, you can make some bets, whether it's the underdog props or whether it's just game outrights, totals. And I got to say, you guys can tell that Moose is running the stream tonight because he's got the fancy scrolling ticker at the bottom. Me, it's bare bones. Let's just get the stream up and running and hope it works. So, shout out to Moose for running the stream tonight.
Hey, let's go. So we got a bunch of people in here. So yeah, again, if you have questions, definitely go ahead and ask. I know the Baltimore-Washington game kicks off in 8 minutes, so those questions take priority. And Roro Chris, I'm sorry if I said your name wrong, says, "What's up, y'all? Do you have any favorite plays for that 6 p.m. lock?"
Yeah, absolutely. So let's answer them. So I don't mind giving this out. I'm feeling a little generous after last night. So Tyler Huntley's going to play pretty much the whole game. Lamar Jackson's going to get a couple series, but Tyler Huntley's going to play pretty much the whole game there for Baltimore at quarterback. Both Ryan Fitzpatrick and Taylor Heineke are not playing for Washington. Kyle Allen will start. If you read between the tea leaves and you read Ron Rivera, as you look at his historical trends, he's played developmental quarterbacks a little bit more in preseason week 4. So I think there's a chance that Steven Montez plays more than a half. More than likely, him and Allen split. But I think if you're choosing one of the Washington quarterbacks, Montez has a little more playing time upside. The running backs is going to be very tight. Tyson Williams, Nate McCrary are going to get most of the work for Baltimore. A lot of people, Moose, are going to play Jarrett Patterson tonight because he's crushing in preseason, but every beat reporter that you listen to says he's a lock for the roster, so why would they run him out here again tonight?
Yeah.
So that leads me to believe that Jonathan Williams is the play, and we have him as a great high-risk play. And then on Baltimore, the same receivers are going to be great plays. Tylan Wallace, Jalen Moore, James Prochet. Josh Oliver at tight end, easily going to lead the team in snaps there. And then on Washington side, Antonio Gandy-Golden, probably the best receiver. A ton of guys are going to play on that side. And then Sammy Reyes is going to get pretty much the whole second half of Montez at tight end, so we like him too.
Absolutely, yeah. You pretty much hit that on the spot. And that answers Joe Madden's question, ever playing anyone from that first game. Yeah, basically everyone that we pointed out as the top play, we're putting in our player pool. Let's see here. And then Brent has a question. Favorite Chargers running back play for high risk on DraftKings?
Yeah, definitely Roundtree for me. I think people are going to play Kelly. Roundtree based on trends. Remember that Brandon Staley comes from the Rams school of thought when it comes to preseason playing time. And if he follows what Sean McVay does, which is why we have a shakeup in our top plays compared to what most people think at the Rams running back position, then it sounds like Roundtree should get the most work there. So I'll roll with him tonight.
Makes sense to me. Cool. Yeah, and again, if you're still doing research, you have any more things, again, OccupyFantasy.com, where you can check out the daily plug, which is what you see on the left side of your screen here. If you scroll down, like literally just a couple sentences, has our top plays, lineup construction advice, which kind of leads me into my next question, Brian. What were there any specific rules that you applied last night in your lineups that you would apply for tonight's slate as well?
Yeah, do you want to bring the builder up, but we can talk about it really quickly?
Sure. We might do a fancy transition and hide our faces. Let's see if this will actually work.
I believe in you, Moose. If it was me, I don't know, but I fully believe in your tech capabilities.
There we go. Perfect. So we're up here on the lineup builder, which again, you can check out our partner lineup builder. We partner with DFS Magic, the smartest lineup builder in the industry. Absolutely amazing. The custom rules section is like by far the coolest thing I've ever done or ever seen. I didn't actually do it. Jack did it. But that's neither here nor there. All right. So we can go to the custom rules, and we'll add some custom rules. Yeah, I'll let you lead here.
So it's a decent amount of work because, in regular season, Moose, again, if you guys have questions while we're doing this, go ahead and ask them in the chat. We'll certainly answer them. We're just doing this to kind of showcase how I built my lineups last night. And if you don't use our builder, that's fine. We certainly encourage you to do it if you're building multiple lineups. So you can still use these ideas if you're using another builder, or if you're just hand building, you can think about these rules in your head as you're building. And again, most for regular season, a lot of this is automated. We don't have to think about these things because preseason is so different with the fractured playing time, game stacks not being a thing. You're allowed to play defense against your offensive players. Some of these rules have to be made. So the three types of rules I made, Moose, were minimum one pass catcher when you're playing with a quarterback. So if I have Bryce Perkins in the lineup, I want min one of the Rams receivers. A maximum of one player against the defense. So if I have the Bears defense in my lineup, I want a maximum of one Titans play.
Okay.
And then also for starting receivers or receivers I know that are playing on a specific group, specific unit, I'll do max one of those guys unless their quarterback's in the lineup. I did that last night with Sam Darnold, and it's how I got only one of DJ Moore, Terrace Marshall, or Robbie Anderson in the lineup unless Sam Darnold was in the lineup, in which case they're allowed to have two or three. And last night my winning lineup had Sam Darnold in it and had both Marshall and Robbie Anderson. That's how I was able to accomplish that.
That's a hell of a rule. I'll be honest there. That's a fantastic rule. So can we do one of those rules tonight? You tell me which buttons to click, and we'll put a rule out for it, just so people can see how they would do it.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's start with Bryce Perkins, and because .bets has a question about Perkins, min of 2 wide receivers for stacking. I don't think you need to. I've always just done min of 1, even though they're playing the whole game, and Perkins can run the ball. So apply this rule when Bryce Perkins is in the lineup, and then we can just list min 1 of these Rams players. And thankfully, we have the stack section in the Daily Plug that you can easily figure out which receivers are playing which quarterback.
So you said a max of 1 when Bryce Perkins is in the lineup?
A min of 1.
Min of
at
one.
least one of these players when Perkins is in.
Yeah, so let's see. And so for Perkins, we have a bunch of people. Is it Funk, right?
Yep, that line. Yep.
Funk, Koski.
So while you're doing this, Moose,
Atwell.
I'll just explain to people. So Moose is putting in the different Rams receivers that are expected to catch passes from Bryce Perkins tonight. If you're hand building a lineup tonight, low risk or high risk, we recommend playing Perkins in both. If you play Perkins, play at least one of his receivers with him. You can play 2 or 3, but the odds are if Perkins ends up in the optimal lineup or scores enough points to be relevant, odds are one of his receivers do really well.
Yeah, absolutely. You hit it there. All right, let's see here. Yeah, all right, you get the point. Like, I get there. And then so you would do something like man, 1 wide receiver with QB. And you would save that rule. Now, granted, that takes a lot of time to do for the teams, but again, that's a fantastic rule that you would put in. And again, at the Occupy Fantasy Daily Plug, we do have our stack options, so you can just go ahead if you have dual monitors or you just like split screen the things. Just go half of the plug, half the builder, and put the stacks information in right side by side. You can see all the information right there.
Yeah, a little bit harder to move to split screen on a tablet.
Yeah, it's very hard. Let's see here. Chris says we blew out the budget for that transition scene, but it worked great. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that.
It really did.
Cool. And then I want to ask you this. I want to know kind of how you would approach this. We talk about in the notes, for contests, basically in the contest size, whatever your contest size is, that's how many high-risk players you should pick. So if you're saying like 2 to 4 high-risk players, would you just say a max of 4 and then another rule, min of 2 of these groups of guys, or do you not do that?
Sometimes I'll do it. It depends. I actually didn't do it last night because we had so many high-risk plays that I liked, and sometimes the exposures can mess up, specifically just with our builder on when you try to do that. But really, I'll look if I have any chalky lineups, or if the builder's building a bunch of chalky lineups that I'll put in the rules. If it's just a couple, I'll go in and manually fix those.
Cool. .bet says, which Bucks wide receiver do you like tonight?
Man, it's tough, dude.
Excuse me.
It's really tough. It's really tough because AB, Mike Evans, Godwin are all going to play. I feel like Evans is a little more touchdown dependent to get there. That's why we put him in the high risk section. Mm-hmm. You can't see my face right now. I'm just shaking my head because it's a really tough decision. I would just play Godwin probably. I think he has the best chance of a floor. I don't know. I mean, we're really rolling the dice there on which receiver is the best. Yeah.
Ed says, I see Parham, the XFL stud, is recommended, and it's questionable. I think he's playing. Would you go heavier since people will most likely stay away since he has that tag?
Yeah, tight end kind of sucks tonight, for being honest. So yeah, I like Parham for sure. I think people might be scared away, and he should play the full first half with Chase Daniel. So I like it. I like it for sure. The other guy we like, Jesse James, and I'm just saying this because no one's gonna play Jesse James. But when he's been out there with Fields, Fields has been looking to him heavily. So all these guys are gonna be low owned. I guess Tanner Hudson might be kind of high owned just because he's a preseason god. I actually don't know who else people are gonna play at tight end, to be honest.
It's a tough spot, so it's gonna be really interesting to see when we pull ownership how that's gonna be affected. Let's see here. Wig says, "Do you think any other quarterback does as well as Perkins, someone like Fields?"
Yeah, if you're playing the FanDuel slate, which just locked, by the way, Tyler Huntley certainly could do that because he's likely going to play the whole game. And really, you're just looking for one of these quarterbacks that are going to play a half, maybe slightly more, to just outproduce him in a full game. Very tough, and in a low-risk setting, there's no reason to play any other quarterback except Bryce Perkins on DraftKings. Right? There's literally no reason to do it. He's going to play more than anybody else on the slate. But yeah, I mean, you have Tom Brady in a half of football can certainly outscore Perkins, who's running with all guys that aren't going to be on a football team next week.
Yeah.
Right? Tyrod can run. Chase Daniel can get there. Fields can run. Matt Barkley could play more than a half given the rotation they're going with. So yeah, I think the guys we listen to plug can certainly outscore him. So yeah, it's tough, but for high risk contests, that's what you play for.
Absolutely. Since we're done for the builder right now, I'm gonna go ahead and transition back to our pretty faces. If I remember which scene I got to click on. Boom. There we go. And there we go. I do this for a living. We're good.
Yeah. Nice moves.
Definitely. Spikowski says, "Do you have a ballpark guess on what % running back versus wide receiver was in your MME flex?"
I can't remember it off the top of my head, but I think it was mostly running backs last night, if I'm not mistaken. We liked a lot of running backs, so I'm pretty sure. I don't have the number off the top of my head though, but
Yeah.
it was definitely more running backs than receivers. Tonight it's a little more balanced.
Yeah. So if you're playing over on FanDuel, it looks like Garrett just posted Patterson was 50% owned on FanDuel, which is just absolutely nuts.
Not surprising, dude, because I mean he's been crushing in preseason. We just gotta hope the trends are right here and the beat writers are right. Again, this is a high risk play. This is why we put Jarrett Patterson in low risk. And people might ask this question, right? If we like Jonathan Williams more, why do we put Jarrett Patterson in low risk? Is because he's going to be 50 times higher owned than Jonathan Williams, and that's a safer play for your 50-50s, head-to-heads, and double ups.
Yeah, you have to also think about it like from the game theory's perspective as well. Like even if he does suck, worst case scenario gets a 0, in your low risk contest, you're still good because 60% of the people still have him as well. So that's
Right.
just basically just cross that player off.
Right, and this is why as someone else in Discord asked last night, what percentage exposure did I have to guys like Jackson and Gore? Those guys were less than 5% owned last night on DraftKings. They were in my winning lineup, and I had 15 to 20% of each because as we're kind of talking about with this Patterson situation, Moose, as you're playing high risk contests, you're playing multiple lineups. Everyone knows or everyone thinks Patterson's a great play. Last night, everyone knew that Chuba Hubbard was a great play, and he was like 70% owned.
Yeah.
But again, we're looking at all guys who are playing mostly at half, and for some reason, just because they've played well in the last 2 games, or because their playing time is easily discoverable in articles or tweets or whatever, and everyone just plays those guys. When in reality, we knew that Derek Gore was going to play close to a half. We knew that Jackson was only going to split with 1, maybe 2 other guys. AJ Rose was going to split with 1, maybe 2 other guys. So, yeah, there's a huge advantage to playing those guys at the end of our high-risk section, especially the running back position, because they're going to get a half of work. We don't put them in there unless they're getting a half of work.
Yeah.
And if they're getting a half of work at 5% ownership, like Jonathan Williams is going to do in this first game, it makes for an easy leverage play.
100%, yeah. And it's funny when you speak of you said that playing time is like very well known, and it's funny because like sometimes if there's people that won't answer on Twitter, we'll actually have to email them and get email responses back, and it's like, all right, cool. Now I definitely know no one has this information.
Right, seriously though.
Let's see here. Sankey says, small field single entry GPP. Do we flex a wide receiver or a running back?
I think running back, right? More projectable, guaranteed touches. Receivers can play 60% of the snaps and not get a point, right? We've seen that before. So for those smaller contests, just play running back. I think all contest sizes you could probably play running back up until we get to 1,000+ people.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. And then Spokowski says, if Patterson was even going to play, why wouldn't he start? And they're trying to, I guess they're trying to figure out if they should keep Barber.
Yeah, Barber's apparently on the bubble. They want to get him a little bit of run, and he's been running ahead of Patterson for the most part. Patterson did get a couple reps with the ones last week, but only because Rivera said they wanted to see what he could do with them in a game situation. Barber's been running ahead of him and is ahead of him on the depth chart. So he was always going to start. Patterson's going to come in behind him. The key is, does Patterson leave relatively early and Jonathan Williams take over the rest of the game? That's what we're banking on.
Yeah, makes sense to me.
Does anyone have what Williams' ownership was on FanDuel for this game? I didn't. I guess I did play. I can look really quickly most probably.
Okay.
Do the show.
Cool. And we're also just looking for notes as well. Again, just to plug it, on the left side of your screen here, occupyfantasy.com, so you can get the access to the daily plug, DFS picks, ranking, and playing time notes for every game, every player on the slate, our top plays as well, lineup strategy, bankroll allocation. At the very bottom of your screen on the scrolling ticker, you have the current odds from BetRivers Sportsbook. If you're at a legal sportsbook, check out occupyfantasy.com. Get some sweet deposit bonuses at some of our partner sportsbooks. Got a question here, Brian, from Ed. Thoughts on Keyshawn Vaughn?
Yeah, the fact that the starters are playing at half makes it a little trickier, right? It's not an easy play like it was in recent weeks. I still think he'll get a decent amount of work. He'll probably run with Tom Brady a little bit and play some of the second half. So he's a good player. It's probably having a high risk, but his playing time isn't nearly as guaranteed as it has been the last 2 games.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. So we're going to be here for about, I think we said like 6 more minutes or so. Noam says Williams going to be sub 1% on DraftKings.
Since you can't play him, definitely.
Yeah. Tyson, 27% on FanDuel.
Okay, let's see what Jonathan Williams. And I'm looking now through my lineups to find out because I got obviously a decent amount of him. So I'll let you guys know whenever I know.
Cool. And then I also do want to point out again, if you're playing, you should always play that in-game showdown slate if your bankroll allows it. Tonight's game is the Chargers and the Seahawks. 11 p.m., 11:30 lock for the second half and fourth quarter, respectively. We're not writing up the article, but we do have, again, our playing time notes, who's expected to play, cross off the players who have already played, and you just get rid of those for your lineup. Absolutely crush those head-to-heads with those no badge players. And then check out our Discord as well, occupyfantasy.com/Discord. We have members chopping it up all the time about those in-game showdown slates. And Brian, I wish I had the screenshot, but I know our member won the 2K, the first last night, but also wasn't it like 1st through 8th was Occupy members? It was absolutely nuts.
Yeah, it was a pretty sick screenshot, I gotta
say. Yeah. So while the prizes may not be the biggest, money's still green. Doesn't matter how you get it. So definitely check out those contests as well.
Yes, exactly. And Moose, I just looked it up. Jonathan Williams is 0.6% on FanDuel. So, I mean, he's literally 100 times less owned than Jarrett Patterson, which is, I mean, think about it. Come on, that's crazy, right? That's insane.
It's absolutely nuts. Notam also says, how confident are we that Brady et al. Will play a half versus like just a quarter?
Arians doesn't pull any punches, so I think he's been pretty adamant about them playing a full half. So I think they get there.
Cool. RPS Goat says, Brian, who are your favorite dinos tonight?
Again, when they get the prize pulls up and I can win 50K on KBO again, like I can on preseason, I'll start worrying about the dinos. We'll always support them from afar, but not until the global pandemic shuts down every sports league in the world will we care about Dinos DFS plays again.
I know. When I'm booking a trip to South Korea for those who don't know, and I'm gonna get off the plane. I'm gonna wear my Dinos mascot helmet, and everyone's gonna be like, immigration's gonna be like, just send him back on the next plane. He can't be here.
You're out of this country.
I know, right? Cool. So that'll pretty much do it. I think if we'll wait here for another minute or so in case anyone has any last lingering questions. Brian, is there anything that we missed or anything else that you want to cover?
Just a quick high-level overview of tonight. Just bringing up the plug on my side. So the Rams are going to be very popular, right? They're playing all their guys a ton, all their backups. Nobody's basically playing for them, so only a handful of guys are going to play just a shit ton of snaps. They'll be the most popular, but rightfully so. Tennessee's not playing a ton, especially at the running back position. The other team that's not playing a ton of guys and has very condensed playing time that I think will go overlooked because they're in the later game is the Chargers. Just 3 running backs expected to suit up. Just they have a lot of receiver injuries. I think like just 6 receivers, maybe 5 are going to suit up. So really good leverage spot if you're playing the whole, condensed playing time angle.
Definitely. And RPS says you were there for us when KBO hit, and we appreciate you. Yeah, that was nothing like waking up at like 3 a.m. to check your KBO lineups just to go to sleep for an hour and check your League of Legends lineups.
Yeah, sleep was tough.
Yeah, that's going to be one. And be like, Granddad, what'd you do during the pandemic? I slept an hour a day. Why? Because I was grinding Korean sports.
Why? Because you're worried about the pandemic? No, because I had to get my DFS lineups in overseas.
I know, right? Definitely. 2 questions here, and then we'll close it out. One from .best here. Who's the slate breaker tonight?
Gonna be Jonathan Williams on FanDuel, I hope. If not, it's gonna be Jake Funk. Jake Funk for the Rams on DraftKings.
Works for me there. Dog, quit eating out the trash. Sorry. And then last question here from Wig. What do you think about some of these Seahawk players? Think they're any better plays than the Chargers?
I don't think so. They're playing a ton of guys, it sounds like. They're getting some guys back, too. Getting 1 or 2 tight ends back, getting a running back at least back, getting D. Eskridge back. Maybe he's a guy that could play a full half. I don't mind him. We're going to monitor pregame warmups. There wasn't a ton of information about Seattle and how they're going to split up the time. They did say that a bunch of guys are going to play. The Chargers just have guaranteed playing time, and unlike the Rams, they're going to have way lower ownership. So I don't think there's a need to get cute if you're playing other guys in the later games.
Makes sense to me. Cool. All right, well, that'll pretty much do it. Again, good luck tonight, guys, whether you're playing showdowns, in-game showdowns, or just the classic slate on DraftKings that hasn't already locked. Again, daily plug will be updated throughout lock. Questions also in the Discord as well if you didn't get any in. OccupyFantasy.com/Discord is where you can find the information. OccupyFantasy.com is where you can check out the website, DFS picks, ranking, and playing time notes website. There, membership start as low as $7 per week. We also have access to the lineup builder that we showed on screen here as well. You can get that with your membership also. But until next time, guys, it's Moose and Brian here from Occupy